Joe, tonight, the first GOP presidential debate takes place. The Republican National Committee confirming that 8 candidates will be taking part in the event hosted by Fox News.
Yes,
Most notably absent, though, former President Donald Trump. All of the candidates tonight will face questions about the 2020 election and other key issues like abortion. We mentioned that at the top of the show. Crime, the war in Ukraine, most likely the economy as well.
You think?
So joining us live now to talk all about it is Max Cohen with Punchbowl News. Glad to have you here, Max. First, talk to us about how maybe this debate feels different, if at all, without Trump attending tonight.
Yeah, it's really the main point everyone's going to be talking about. The leading contender, by far the runaway favorite to be the Republican nominee for president, won't be there. So there's going to be a lot of talk about Trump, a lot of talk about how these candidates are different than him or support some of his policies. But I think it's just pretty staggering that the main guy won't be there. He thinks he can gain more by skipping it. He'll do a conversation with Tucker Carlson, which will be counter-programming here. And Trump sees it. He's like, look, I'm so far ahead. I don't need to be on this stage with everyone taking shots at me. I can just skip this thing. So it's going to be a really big topic of conversation is his absence.
I mean, to his point, though, does him not being there pretty much to say, you guys are just like the rest of the guys and all attention over here on me?
I think that's exactly right. You know, some people have even rumored that the debate tonight is going to be an audition for his running mate in some ways. That's the hold he has over the party.
Right, and I was going to say, Ron DeSantis, of course, likely front and center without Trump there.
Right.
So as far as that political fire goes back and forth, that's what sometimes this comes down to. Do you think it'll be him that will be targeted? And how could that affect his campaign moving forward?
Sure, I think it's a great point. Ron DeSantis is pretty clearly the second favorite out of this field. He's polling in kind of the mid-teens nationally. Trump, however, is in the 50s and 60s in many polls, so he's totally far ahead. But DeSantis is definitely the number 2 guy. I think all the candidates tonight are going to be trying to replace DeSantis as a second option and hope that, you know, when other candidates drop out, they can be the clear Trump alternative. So I think Ron DeSantis is going to face a lot of pressure.
Well, in your view, who is that guy? Is it Chris Christie? Who is the guy that's going to be like, okay, let me take this away from Ron DeSantis?
Yeah, I think Chris Christie's someone who's going to be taking a lot of shots at Trump, especially. He's positioned himself as probably the most anti-Trump candidate. I also want to look out for Vivek Ramaswamy. He's someone who's gotten a lot of attention, a first-time political candidate. He's someone who could be poised to make a big moment. A lot of people don't know him, but among the Republican base, he's actually pretty popular. So I look out for Vivek Ramaswamy to have a standout debate moment perhaps tonight.
Okay. Well, let's talk quickly how much weight this debate carries when it comes to voters and their thoughts, their decisions, their opinions on what those who are running for president here and how they feel about certain issues.
Sure, I think it's the first chance for many people to be introduced to some of these second-tier candidates. So for some of the smaller names, this is a chance to introduce yourself to the national stage. But I would have to say, look, you know, the first contest is in Iowa. It's still in January 2024. There's a long way to go. So while this is an introduction of sorts, I think we have to be important not to put too much weight into this first debate. Yes, it's a chance to introduce yourself, but there's a long way to go in this campaign, and a lot of twists and turns are yet to come.
Thanks, man. Well, I feel about this debate, I kind of feel like when a good thing comes across my Instagram feed, I'm really just here for the comments. Okay. After tonight's debate, I really just want to see the comments.
See what people say back and forth. I'm sure they'll be, butting some heads.
Yes,
no doubt about it. All right, Max Cohen with Punchbowl News. Thanks so much. We appreciate you coming.